So this is part 2 on why I don't support BLM, Black Lives Matter. The reason for doing a part 2 is because when I did the first video on Black Lives Matter and why I don't support Black Lives Matter, there were some things that I thought of that were quite important afterwards, which I thought I should mention in the second video. So before I get into this article here, which I'm going to read with you, I just wanted to mention something else quite important that I didn't mention in my first video, that it was especially after the George Floyd incident. I was in communication with my brothers on a WhatsApp group, and of course, I didn't support George Floyd or the riots that happened, which actually, those riots actually resulted in the destruction of many properties, and of course, there were some deaths as well that resulted from the riots. There was a young man, actually, I forget his name right now, but he actually, there were some civilians that were armed that were going around with guns on patrol to make sure that properties were not destroyed. And there was a young man who ended up shooting some Black Lives Matter supporters, and he was arrested and went to court, but he was acquitted of that. But yeah, so the protests and the riots actually resulted in a lot of damage to property and loss of life. But around that time, I was, just chatting with my siblings on WhatsApp, and most of them supported Black Lives Matter and the whole story behind George Floyd and how it was said that he had been murdered by a police officer. And how all that was wrong. But remember, I've said already, and I think I said in part 1 that I'm very skeptical of the story. I wasn't there when the whole George Floyd incident took place. I don't know if that's really a true story because we can't believe anything that we're told by the media. There are many whites who have also been killed by the police. I've seen many videos. I use YouTube quite a lot, and I've seen many videos of whites, especially in America, being murdered by police officers, either through being shot or through being beaten up to death. But the media doesn't show some of these stories. They only seem to focus on police brutality when the victims are Black. So yeah, so one of the other reasons why I don't necessarily believe the whole story behind the George Floyd incident is because George Floyd was an actor, and perhaps I might be wrong about this, but maybe the whole thing was a psychological operation to get people riled up and to be emotional and to support something that they actually don't understand what the pre-planned agenda is. There's always a pre-planned agenda behind these major events, whether it be 9/11 or the COVID pandemic. So yeah. But I was criticized by my siblings on WhatsApp for not supporting Black Lives Matter and George Floyd. But the funny thing is, I come from a dysfunctional family, okay, and we don't even get along that well. So I found it interesting that my siblings supported George Floyd, who they never met, but some of them can't even take the time to make contact with me to find out how I am. I just found that very, very strange. And I actually expressed that on WhatsApp. And the excuse that one of them made was that he was busy. And of course he was called out for saying that. But yeah, so, and I believe that it doesn't just apply to me, it applies to many Black people around the world who come from dysfunctional families where they fight with their own siblings or don't get along with my parents, such as in my case. But when someone far away, thousands of miles away in a different continent, is said to have been murdered by the police, there seems to be more support for that person than someone from your own family, and I think that's hypocritical. So But just moving on, I said in part one of my video on why I don't support Black Lives Matter that I believe that Patrice Cullors had actually bought three mansions. That's why the abbreviation BLM is sometimes humorously said to mean buy large mansions. So I found an article here where it does confirm that Patrice Cullors, one of the founders of BLM, actually bought three LA mansions. Perhaps he's actually got more houses now, which he has bought with donations that were gifted to Black Lives Matter. So anyway, it says here, BLM co-founder Patrice Cullors lost two of her three LA mansions. And how did she lose them? The rich communist Patrice Cullors lost two of her three mansions in the wildfires that swept through California. Says she is one of three communist founders of Black Lives Matter, which was heavily funded by equally far-left George Soros, at least to the tune of $33 million. And it says here, Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrice Cullors has tragically lost two of her three Los Angeles mansions in the current wildfires. So this is from January 11, 2025, and this shows one of the mansions here, which she bought at a cost of $6 million US dollars, with funds that were donated to Black Lives Matter. So it says here, in April 2021, the New York Post wrote about her wealth, which does not follow the communist mantra. As protests broke out across the country in the name of Black Lives Matter, the group's co-founder went on a real estate buying binge, snagging 4 high-end homes. See here, it even says 4 of them, 4 homes for $3.2 million in the US alone, according to property records. Patrice Cullors, 37, also eyed property in the Bahamas at an ultra-exclusive resort where Justin Timberlake and Tiger Woods both have homes. The Post has learned luxury apartments and townhouses at the beachfront Albany Resort outside Nassau are priced between $5 million and $20 million, according to a local agent. The self-described Marxist, and by the way, I didn't explain very well what a Marxist is, because the founders of BLM have openly said that they are Marxist. The word Marxist comes from, it's to do with Karl Marx, the one who is said to have started communism and wrote the Communist Manifesto. So a communist who is someone who believes that no one should even be entitled to private property. Yes, yet we see here that one of the founders of BLM actually bought 4 mansions with money that was donated to BLM, which is obviously rather hypocritical. And of course, Marxism and communism are in opposition to capitalism. So it says here, the self-described Marxist last month purchased a $1.4 million home on a secluded road, a short drive from Malibu in Los Angeles, according to a report. The 2,370 square foot property features soaring ceilings, skylights, and plenty of windows with canyon views. The Topanga Canyon homestead, which includes 2 houses on a quarter-acre, is just one of 3 homes Cullors owns in the Los Angeles area, public records show. Goes on to say here, we are happy Miss Cullors has 1 mansion left after the other ones have been burnt down by fire. She's luckier than many, plus she's alive in a state that echoes her leftist beliefs. Yeah, so California is very, very left-leaning, but yeah. Also, another story which I should have mentioned or read in my last video is about a young lady that unfortunately was murdered by Black Lives Matter supporters. And this is what the Black Lives supporters said about her after she was killed. Some of them said, "Good riddance to another racist." BLM supporters post hateful messages on Facebook page of young mum who was 24 at the time she was killed, who was shot dead moments after she said all lives matter during an argument. So I'll just read some of the story for you here. Facebook page of a young mum who was shot dead after she said all lives matter to a group of Black Lives Matter supporters in Indiana has been flooded with hateful messages from trolls. Jessica Doughty Whitaker, 24, was killed early on the morning of July 5 while out on a walk with her fiancé, Jose Ramirez, and two friends in Indianapolis. Ramirez said someone in their group used a slang version of the word of the nigger word, and I believe it's the N word with an A on the end of it, before they were confronted by strangers passing by and an argument broke out. So remember, Ramirez was the boyfriend or fiance of Jessica, the young lady who was unfortunately murdered. These two were in the same group along with their friends. Someone in that group used the N word. So Ramirez claimed that the group began shouting Black Lives Matter, prompting Whitaker, this is Jessica Whitaker, to respond, all lives matter, which I would agree with. All lives matter, not just Black Lives Matter. I don't believe in uplifting one ethnic group above another. And I've already said that there are many whites and Hispanics, along with blacks, yes, who are being subjected to police brutality in America, but it's not only blacks who are being abused or brutalized by the police. It's whites as well. Perhaps there are more blacks being brutalized by the police, but sometimes if you watch some of the videos which show police interaction with blacks tend to resist the police quite a lot in America. And I'm not justifying the actions of the police. I'm not saying that because blacks resist the police quite a lot, they should be murdered. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying sometimes the police react to, it's the police response is in reaction to the way blacks respond when they get stopped by the police. Ramirez, that was Jessica's boyfriend, said both groups brandished guns at each other, but eventually talked through the issues, fist bumped and walked away. Moments later, he said someone opened fire on the group from a nearby bridge, fatally striking Whitaker before they ran off. News of the shooting made headlines nationwide this week as police continued searching for the person or people responsible. Let's just look at the dates for this. This happened in July 2020. Over the past few days, hundreds of people have commented on posts on Whitaker's Facebook page, several of them sharing scathing messages accusing her of being racist over her alleged All Lives Matter remark. I don't think saying All Lives Matter is racist. It's basically saying that all lives are of equal value. Goes on to say, I can't feel bad for a racist. This is someone who was talking about Jessica. I can't feel bad for a racist who used a racial slur. Now they're accusing her of using the N word, but it's not very clear whether she's the one who actually used that word. Now you'll have plenty of time to think about your horrible actions, one woman wrote. Another man added, Black Lives Matter, the rest of you are next. That comment was followed by a man who wrote, can't feel bad for you when you used a racial slur and acted a fool, and a woman who shared a sarcastic crying emoji with the words, oh, I'm sorry, did someone get what they deserved? After a friend commented that they hoped cops or the police find the people who killed Whitaker, one man wrote, she should not have been racist and ran her mouth. She's shot dead. That's what she got. BLM. One of the commentators took aim directly at Whitaker's mum, Arlene Doughty, after she told this news outlet, I just want people who are responsible to be held accountable. The troll responded on Facebook by writing, I got some bad news for you, Arlene. You are the one responsible for raising your daughter to hang out with racists. Many of the hateful messages sparked arguments between BLM supporters and people who had come to the page to pay tribute. So yeah, that's just a story that I remembered from 2020, which resulted in the loss of this young woman's life. And from what I remember, I think she was shot in the head. I think she later died in hospital. And I think at the time when she was shot, she was actually pushing her child in a pushchair. So very sad loss of life. So the what I'm trying to say here is Black Lives Matter is not promoting love between people of different ethnicities. They are only uplifting Black lives as being more important than the lives of other ethnic groups, which is not right. That's not Christ-like, and that's not how we are to be as Christians. So the last thing I'd mention before I end the video is that it is not the job of Christians to be involved in these Marxist groups or any other group, whether it be climate change activism. Or any other group for that matter. What is our job? Our job is to spread the gospel, like it says here in Matthew 24, verse 14. And this gospel, or the good news of the kingdom, shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. And who is it that's going to be spreading the gospel? Matthew 28, verse 19. Go ye therefore, this is Jesus speaking, and teach all nations. So you are sending his followers, his disciples, to preach. So to teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. So that is our job as Christians. Our job is not to get involved in climate activism, BLM, or scandemics or anything else. We're not supposed to be distracted by these things. And even right now, we have this war that's going on in Iran. We're not supposed to take sides. All we have to do is pray for those who are affected, especially the civilians who are affected by the bombings and everything else that's going on. So that's what I wanted to share in part 2 of this video. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.